My friends, every single day you are having the most important conversation of your life. But it's not with your parents, not with your boss, not with your partner, and not even with your best friend. It's with yourself. Yes, the words you silently whisper in your own mind have the power to either break you or to build you. The truth is, change your self-talk and you change everything. Because the world outside is nothing but a reflection of the world inside. My friends, before we even talk about changing our self-talk, the very first step is to become aware that it even exists. Most people go through life never realizing that there is a constant conversation happening inside their own head. From the moment you wake up in the morning until the moment you fall asleep at night, there is a voice, a quiet whisper, that is commenting on everything you do, everything you see, and everything you feel. Some of you may notice it when you are about to try something new. That little voice says, "What if you fail? What if you embarrass yourself?" And sometimes, if you're lucky, the voice says, "Come on, you can do this. You have it in you." The tragedy is that many people are completely unaware of how powerful that voice really is. They think it's just random thoughts passing by. But in reality, that inner dialogue is shaping your identity, your emotions, your confidence, and even your future. Think about this. If someone stood outside of you and spoke to you the way your own mind sometimes does, constantly saying, "You're not good enough, you'll never make it, you don't have what it takes," you would never allow that person to stay in your life. You would walk away. You would protect yourself from that negativity. But when it comes from within, most of us simply accept it. We don't challenge it. We don't notice it. We live as if it is the ultimate truth. Awareness means learning to pause and listen to that inner voice, not blindly believing it, but observing it like you would observe a stranger. Let me give you an example. Imagine a young student about to sit for an exam. On the outside, everything is ready. The pen, the paper, the preparation. But inside, there is another test happening. The mind whispers, "You're going to forget everything. You're not smart enough. Others are better than you." The student is not failing the exam on the paper yet. He is failing the exam in his own mind first. Now imagine the same student becoming aware of that voice, catching it in the act, and saying, "Wait a second, this is just my fear speaking, not the truth. I have studied, I have worked hard, I will do my best." Just that awareness shifts the energy completely. Awareness of self-talk is like switching on a light in a dark room. The furniture was always there, but when the light comes on, you finally see it clearly. You realize what words you are repeating to yourself every day. You recognize patterns. And once you recognize them, you gain the power to change them. Without awareness, you are like a puppet being controlled by hidden strings. With awareness, you cut the strings and take the first step toward freedom. So, the journey begins not with trying to force yourself to be positive or repeating fancy affirmations. It begins with a gentle, honest observation. What am I saying to myself right now? Are these words serving me, or are they sabotaging me? That moment of awareness is the seed. And when that seed grows, it has the power to change the entire forest of your life. My friends, once we become aware of the voice inside our head, the next realization is even deeper. The words we repeat to ourselves are not just casual thoughts. They are not harmless little sentences floating around. They are the very building blocks of who we become. Words shape our beliefs, and our beliefs shape our identity. And identity, my friends, shapes destiny. Think of a child who grows up constantly hearing, you're useless. You will never achieve anything. Even if that child has incredible potential, the words spoken to him, and later the words he repeats to himself, start creating a belief that he is, in fact, useless. And when that belief takes root, it grows into his identity. He doesn't just think, I failed this time. He begins to believe, I am a failure. And when a person accepts an identity, they begin to live it out, whether they want to or not. The tragedy is, the failure is not in reality, it is in the narrative they carry about themselves. Now imagine the opposite. A young girl, perhaps not very talented at first, but every time she stumbles, she tells herself, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm getting better. At first, maybe she doesn't believe it fully, but repetition creates belief. And over time, that belief becomes her identity. I am a learner. I am someone who grows. And then what happens? Every setback becomes fuel. Every mistake becomes a lesson. The same world, the same challenges, but because of different words, two completely different destinies are created. Let me share with you a very simple example. If you wake up in the morning and say to yourself, I am tired. Today is going to be difficult. I don't feel like doing anything. Your body immediately follows the instruction. Your energy drops. Your motivation disappears. But if you wake up and say, this is a new day. I may not feel perfect, but I will give my best. I will find one reason to smile today. The body also follows that instruction. The words we repeat don't just sit in the mind. They send signals throughout the entire system. They literally change our chemistry. It's like the story of two wolves inside every human being. One wolf represents doubt, fear, anger, and self-hatred. The other represents confidence, kindness, courage, and love. Which wolf wins? The one you feed. And how do you feed them? With words. When you keep saying, I can't, I'm not good enough, I'll never succeed, you are feeding the wolf of fear until it grows so strong that it controls you. But when you say, I will try, I'm learning, I'm capable, you feed the wolf of courage. Over time, that wolf becomes your protector, your strength. Sometimes people say, but I don't want to lie to myself. I really feel like a failure. My friends, there is a difference between lying to yourself and guiding yourself. You don't have to say, I am the best in the world when you don't believe it. But you can say, I am improving. I am growing. I am learning. That is truth. And that truth is empowering. It's not about tricking yourself, it's about training yourself. Remember, your mind is like fertile soil. Every word you repeat is like a seed. If you keep planting seeds of negativity, don't be surprised when weeds grow. But if you plant seeds of encouragement, consistency, and hope, over time, you will see a garden of strength and joy. The soil doesn't care what kind of seed you put in. It will grow whatever you plant. That's why your words are everything. They are not simply sounds in your head. They are seeds of your future. So, never underestimate the sentences you repeat to yourself, because every I can or I can't, every I am or I'm not, is building the person you are becoming. Change your words and you will change your beliefs. Change your beliefs and you will change your identity. And once your identity changes, my friends, everything in life begins to transform. My friends, have you ever noticed how food affects your body? If you eat fresh fruits, wholesome meals, and nourishing food, your body feels energized. But if you eat junk, oily, processed food every single day, your body feels heavy, sluggish, and drained. In the exact same way, the words we say to ourselves are the food for our mind. Positive self-talk talk is like healthy nutrition for the soul. Negative self-talk is like poisonous junk that slowly weakens us from the inside. Think about it the moment you say to yourself, I can handle this, even before the situation has changed, your body receives a surge of energy. You stand taller, your breathing deepens, and you feel lighter. But the moment you whisper, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, notice what happens. Your shoulders drop, your energy drains, your chest tightens, your mind shuts down possibilities. Nothing on the outside changed. It was the same challenge, the same task, the same environment, but the words you spoke inside completely changed your energy. There is a powerful connection between the brain and the body, and it runs through the words we repeat to ourselves. Neuroscience shows that our brain cannot distinguish between reality and imagination when emotions are involved. That means if you keep telling yourself, I am weak, I am tired, I am unlucky, your brain and body begin to behave as if it is the truth, even if reality is very different. And the opposite is also true. If you keep telling yourself, I am strong, I will find a way, I will get through this, your brain begins to release the chemicals of motivation and hope. The body responds with energy. You literally shift your physiology with your self-talk. Let me share a story. There was once a marathon runner who injured his leg just before the race. Everyone told him, you cannot do it, you'll only make it worse. But inside, his self-talk was different. He kept repeating, I will finish this race, even if I don't win. I am strong. I am capable. He began the marathon limping, but step by step, the inner voice gave him strength. Hours later, he crossed the finish line. He didn't break a record. He didn't come first. But he achieved something much greater. He proved that the energy within us flows not from the body first, but from the mind first. His positive self-talk generated the energy to keep moving when everything else told him to stop. Now compare this with someone who is perfectly healthy, but has the opposite dialogue in their mind. They wake up in the morning and say, I'm so tired. Today will be boring. Nothing exciting ever happens to me. Even though their body is capable, they walk through the day exhausted, dragging themselves through hours, and at the end they say, see, I knew it. Today was just like every other day. But the truth is, it wasn't the day that was draining them. It was their words. Their self-talk stole their energy before life even began to test them. We have to understand that every single word we say to ourselves either charges our inner battery or drains it. Just like your phone cannot work if the battery is empty, your mind cannot create, cannot focus, cannot perform if your words are constantly draining its charge. The beautiful thing is, you are the one holding the charger. And the charger is your self-talk. Each encouraging word, each sentence of hope, each gentle reminder to yourself, I can, I will, I am capable, is like plugging your mind back into the source of power. That's why people who practice positive self-talk often look like they have extra energy, extra glow, extra strength. It's not that their life is easier. It's not that they are luckier. It's because they have mastered the art of feeding their mind with words that fuel them rather than exhaust them. They may face the same storms, but they walk with energy because their self-talk becomes their shelter and their power source. So, the next time you feel tired, demotivated, or hopeless, pause and ask yourself, what am I saying to myself right now? Is it draining me or is it fueling me? Because in that moment, you hold the switch. And with one change of dialogue, you can shift from powerless to powerful, from drained to energized, from hopeless to hopeful. That is the power of positive self-talk. It is not just empty words, it is energy in motion, shaping how you feel, how you act, and ultimately how you live. My friends, have you ever noticed how the way you treat yourself becomes the way you treat others? There is something very subtle yet very profound about the mirror of self-talk. The words you use with yourself do not stay inside you. They reflect outward in how you speak, how you behave, and how you connect with others. If your self-talk is harsh, critical, and judgmental, you will unconsciously begin to treat others in the same way. But if your self-talk is kind, encouraging, and compassionate, you will naturally extend that same kindness to those around you. Think about this. If a person is constantly saying to themselves, "I am not enough, I am not worthy, I am broken," then when they see someone else succeed, they often feel envy, bitterness, or resentment. Why? Because their own inner voice has taught them to look at life through the lens of scarcity and inadequacy. Their inner dialogue becomes a filter through which they view the world. But if a person says to themselves, "I am grateful for who I am growing, I am blessed," then when they see others succeed, they feel inspired rather than jealous. Their positive self-talk reflects outward as appreciation, encouragement, and joy for others. This is why self-love is not selfish. It is actually the foundation of compassion. A person who constantly abuses themselves internally cannot genuinely love others. They may try, but their harshness will leak out in their words, in their tone, in their behavior. Imagine someone who calls themselves stupid 100 times a day. Do you think they will have patience when their child or their colleague makes a mistake? Of course not, because they have trained their inner world in criticism, and so criticism becomes their outer language too. On the other hand, someone who gently tells themselves, "It's okay, mistakes happen, I'm learning," will naturally respond to others with the same patience. There was once a man who was known for his anger. People around him were afraid of him because he would snap at the smallest things. One day, someone asked him, "Why are you always so harsh with others?" And after much reflection, he realized it was not about others at all. He was harsh with himself. Every day, he told himself, "You're not good enough, you're too slow, you're a failure." That anger he carried inside spilled onto everyone else. When he slowly learned to change his self-talk, to tell himself, "I am trying, I am capable, I am improving," the fire of anger began to cool, and people noticed he had become gentler. What changed was not his environment. What changed was his inner voice. The mirror effect is so powerful because we cannot give to others what we do not have for ourselves. If your self-talk is filled with constant blame, you will project blame. If your self-talk is filled with encouragement, you will project encouragement. If you treat yourself as an enemy, the world feels like an enemy. If you treat yourself as a friend, the world feels like a friend. This is why spiritual teachers and wise thinkers across ages have said, "Love your neighbor as yourself." But if you do not know how to love yourself, how can you truly love your neighbor? Self-talk is the practice ground where love, patience, kindness, and compassion are born. If you cannot speak kindly to your own mind when you make a mistake, how will you forgive others when they make mistakes? If you cannot encourage yourself when you fall, how will you inspire someone else when they are down? So, my friends, look at your self-talk as a mirror. Whatever you pour into it will reflect outward. If you pour in self-criticism, you will see a world of critics. If you pour in self-compassion, you will see a world of allies. Life outside is always echoing the conversations happening inside. And the beautiful part is, you have the power to choose what you want that echo to sound like. Imagine waking up tomorrow and choosing to say to yourself, I am grateful for another day. I will do my best. I will speak with kindness to myself no matter what happens. If you practice this for a week, you will see that not only your own mind feels lighter, but the way people respond to you begins to shift. They feel safer around you. They feel encouraged by you. Why? Because the mirror of your inner voice is reflecting a kinder, warmer light into the world. In the end, the truth is simple. How you talk to yourself is how you will eventually talk to the world. Speak to yourself with compassion, and you will spread compassion. Speak to yourself with love, and you will spread love. Speak to yourself with constant negativity, and sadly, that will become the gift you unknowingly pass on to others. The world does not need more critics. The world needs more encouragers. And it begins with you encouraging yourself first. My friends, every single one of us is living in one of two states of mind. We are either seeing ourselves as victims of our circumstances or as creators of our possibilities. And the deciding factor between the two is not how much money you have, not how much education you've received, not how many people support you. The real deciding factor is your self-talk. When your inner voice constantly tells you, why does this always happen to me? Life is unfair. I am unlucky. Nothing ever works out for me. You begin to live as a victim. You surrender your power to circumstances. You hand over your ability to choose, to grow, to act. You become like a leaf being blown around by the wind. Whichever way life pushes you, that is where you go. But when your self-talk begins to shift towards, yes, this challenge is hard, but I will find a way. Yes, this problem is real, but I will respond. Life may not be perfect, but I still have choices. Then you are no longer a victim. You become a creator. You pick up the pen and start writing your own story. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people lose their job on the very same day. One person says to themselves, why me? I am worthless. I'll never find another job. This is the end. Their self-talk has locked them into the prison of victimhood. Days pass, and they don't even attempt to apply elsewhere, because their mind has already convinced them that it's hopeless. But the other person, though feeling the same pain, tells themselves, this is tough, but maybe it's a chance to learn something new. Maybe this is life's way of redirecting me. I will try. I will not give up. That self-talk turns them into a creator. They start looking for new opportunities, developing new skills, and slowly they build a new path forward. Same situation, same setback, but two completely different lives, created by two completely different inner voices. The shift from victim to creator does not happen in one dramatic moment. It happens in the small sentences you repeat every single day. Every time you say, I can't, you are giving more power to the victim inside you. Every time you say, I'll try, you are giving more power to the creator inside you. Every time you blame life, you shrink your own power. Every time you take responsibility, you expand it. There was once a prisoner who spent years in a small cell. On the outside, he was trapped. But inside, he kept telling himself, I am free in my mind. They can lock my body, but they cannot lock my spirit. I will use this time to study, to write, to grow. Years later, when he was released, he walked out not as a broken man, but as a wise man, ready to guide others. Contrast this with people who live in beautiful houses with freedom and comfort, yet their self-talk is constantly, I'm stuck, I'm hopeless, I'm trapped. Who then is the real prisoner? It is not the one behind bars, but the one trapped in the prison of their own mind. My friends, life will never stop throwing challenges. We cannot control everything that happens outside of us. But what we can always control is the conversation inside us. Victim self-talk says, life is happening to me. Creator self-talk says, life is happening for me. One word changes everything, 2 or 4. And whichever word you choose becomes the reality you live in. So ask yourself today, what role am I giving myself in my own story? Am I the victim waiting for rescue, or am I the creator writing the next chapter? Your answer does not lie in your circumstances. It lies in your self-talk. Because every time you speak to yourself with hope, with determination, with courage, you are reminding yourself, I am not just a character in this story, I am the author. And once you begin to see yourself as the author, life transforms. Obstacles become opportunities. Setbacks become stepping stones. Challenges become teachers. And you begin to live not as someone life controls, but as someone who co-creates with life. That is the true power of changing yourself. Talk, it turns you from a powerless victim into a powerful creator. My friends, one of the most beautiful shifts in self-talk happens when we learn to add just a single, small word into our vocabulary. The word yet. This tiny word has the power to transform failure into progress, weakness into growth, and impossibility into possibility. You see, most of us are in the habit of using final, permanent statements about ourselves. We say things like, I can't do this. I'm not good at math. I'm not confident. I'm not capable of speaking in public. I will never be successful. And the moment we speak in such final terms, we close the door of growth. We declare that the story is finished, when in truth, it has just begun. But when you add the word yet, everything changes. Instead of saying, I can't do this, you say, I can't do this yet. Instead of, I'm not confident, you say, I'm not confident yet. Do you see the difference? One is the language of hopelessness, the other is the language of hope. One shuts the door, the other keeps it open. One freezes your potential, the other allows it to breathe and grow. Let me share with you a simple example. A child is trying to ride a bicycle for the first time. He falls. He tries again, and he falls again. Now if he says, I can't ride a bicycle, and leaves it there, his story ends in failure. But if he says, I can't ride a bicycle yet, then he leaves the door of possibility wide open. He accepts the reality of the present, that he cannot ride now, but he leaves space for growth, for tomorrow, for practice. And with that space, he will keep trying, keep learning, and one day he will succeed. So many of us, even as adults, fall into the trap of closing our own doors with our words. A young man might say, I'm terrible at public speaking, and because he repeats this to himself over and over, he never even tries. But if he just added the word yet and told himself, I'm not good at public speaking yet, suddenly he gives himself permission to try. He gives himself permission to fail, to learn, to grow. That one small word turns failure into a stepping stone instead of a stumbling block. Psychologists call this a growth mindset, the belief that your abilities are not fixed, but can be developed through effort, practice, and learning. But at its heart, it's not about psychology, it's about language. The words you use shape the mindset you carry, and the mindset you carry shapes the life you live. If your self-talk is final and absolute, your life becomes limited. But if your self-talk is flexible and open, your life becomes expansive. There was once a famous scientist who failed hundreds of times, before making his greatest discovery. People asked him, "How did you handle so many failures?" And he replied, "I never saw them as failures. I only saw them as steps I had not mastered yet." That yet kept him going when others would have stopped. That yet turned obstacles into stepping stones. That yet gave birth to inventions that changed the world. My friends, think about how many times you have stopped yourself because of the words you use. How many times have you told yourself, "I can't do this, I'm just not made for this, I'll never be able to achieve that"? But imagine if you had added one small word, "yet." Imagine the doors that would still be open, the possibilities that would still be alive, the dreams that would still be breathing. So the next time your mind tells you, "I can't," I want you to pause, smile, and add, "yet." The next time you feel unqualified, say, "I'm not there yet, but I'm on my way." The next time you are tempted to give up, remind yourself, "This is not the end. I just haven't figured it out yet." That one little word can turn a period into a comma. It can turn an ending into a beginning. It can turn despair into hope. Remember, life is not asking you to be perfect right now. Life is only asking you to keep the door open. And the word "yet" is the key that keeps it open. Use it. Hold on to it. Speak it to yourself until it becomes a part of your inner dialogue. Because once you embrace "yet," you will never again see failure as the end. You will only see it as a step on the journey. And that shift, my friends, can change the entire direction of your life. My friends, one of the most powerful transformations you can ever make in your self-talk is shifting it from complaint to gratitude. Most people spend so much of their inner dialogue focusing on what is missing, what they don't have, what went wrong, and what could go wrong next. The inner voice constantly says, "I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough support. I am not where I should be in life." And with every one of these sentences, their energy shrinks, their hope weakens, and their joy disappears. Complaining self-talk creates a restless, anxious, dissatisfied life. But the moment you change your inner dialogue to gratitude, everything changes. Imagine waking up in the morning. If the first words you tell yourself are, "Another stressful day, I'm so tired, life is hard, why is everything always difficult for me?" Then before the day has even started, you've already poisoned your heart. The weight of those words stays with you through the hours. But imagine instead that you wake up and say, "Thank you for this breath. Thank you for another day. Thank you for the opportunities I will find today." Suddenly your chest feels lighter. Your heart feels open. Nothing about the outer world has changed. The same job, the same responsibilities, the same challenges. But because your self-talk is filled with gratitude, your entire experience of life feels different. Gratitude is not about denying problems or pretending life is perfect. Gratitude is about choosing where to focus. A person can look at a glass of water and say, "Why is it half empty?" That is complaint self-talk. Or the same person can look at the same glass and say, "How wonderful, it is half full." That is gratitude self-talk. The amount of water didn't change. What changed is the inner voice that interprets reality. There was once a man who traveled the world meeting both the richest and the poorest. When he asked the wealthy what they felt, many of them said, "I don't have enough, I want more." But when he asked the poor, many of them smiled and said, "I am grateful for the food I ate today. I am grateful my children are safe. I am grateful I woke up this morning." And he realized something profound. Wealth does not guarantee gratitude, but gratitude always makes you feel wealthy. It is not the bank account that decides your joy. It is the self-talk you practice in your heart. Science now shows that gratitude literally rewires the brain. When you repeat words of thankfulness to yourself, your brain begins to release dopamine and serotonin, the chemicals of happiness and calm. It strengthens your immune system, reduces stress, and even improves sleep. And all of this begins not with medicine, not with therapy, not with external success, but simply with changing your self-talk from "I don't have enough" to "I am blessed with so much." Think of how different your relationships become when you practice gratitude self-talk. If you constantly say to yourself, "My partner doesn't do enough for me, my friends don't support me, my family never understands me," you carry resentment, and resentment poisons your words. But if you say, "I am grateful for the small things my partner does, I am thankful for the moments my friends show up, I appreciate that my family cares in their own way," then your words to them will be softer, kinder, warmer. Gratitude inside becomes harmony outside. And what about the relationship with yourself? So many people speak to themselves only in complaints. "I'm too fat, I'm too slow, I'm not smart enough, I should be further ahead in life." Can you imagine living with a friend who spoke to you like that every day? You would run away. Yet we trap ourselves with that friend in our head. Gratitude self-talk says instead, "I am thankful for my body that carries me, for my mind that learns every day, for my journey that is unfolding step by step." When you shift to this language, you no longer fight yourself. You begin to appreciate yourself. And appreciation is the foundation of growth. Gratitude does not mean you stop striving for more. It means you strive from a place of fullness, not emptiness. You still chase your dreams, but your self-talk becomes, "I am grateful for what I already have, and I look forward to what is coming," rather than, "I will never be happy until I get more." The first gives you peace along the journey. The second makes you restless no matter how far you go. So, my friends, I urge you, train your inner voice to practice gratitude every day. When you wake up, list 3 things in your mind you are thankful for. When you face a challenge, remind yourself of something that is still working in your life. When you feel like complaining, catch yourself and replace it with a thankful thought. It may feel small, but these small changes in self-talk add up to a big transformation. Because here is the truth, gratitude self-talk is like light. The more you switch it on, the more it pushes away the darkness of fear, stress, and dissatisfaction. And the more light you shine inside, the more your entire life begins to glow on the outside. Gratitude self-talk, my friends, is not just about being polite or positive. It is about reprogramming your mind to see abundance where others see lack, to see blessings where others see burdens, and to see possibilities where others see problems. And when you live in that state, you don't just survive life, you truly thrive. My friends, one of the deepest shifts in self-talk happens when you start treating yourself with the same kindness and compassion that you so easily give to others. Think about it. When a close friend comes to you saying, "I've failed, I've made mistakes, I'm not good enough," what do you say? You don't scold them. You don't push them deeper into shame. You say, "It's okay, you're learning. You are stronger than you think. Don't give up, things will get better." Your words are full of encouragement and warmth. But when you yourself fail, when you yourself stumble, what does your self-talk usually sound like? It often becomes cruel. "I am such an idiot. I never do anything right. I don't deserve success. I will never change. You become your own harshest critic, saying things to yourself that you would never say to another human being. This is why self-compassionate self-talk is so powerful. It is the act of turning that same gentle, forgiving, uplifting language inward. Instead of becoming your biggest enemy, you choose to become your strongest ally. Because here is a truth we often forget: the world is already full of critics, full of people ready to judge, ready to point fingers, ready to doubt you. But what happens when your own mind becomes another one of those critics? Then you are outnumbered, attacked both from outside and from within. But if you change yourself, talk to kindness, then even if the whole world stands against you, you still have one voice, your own, that says, I believe in you, I forgive you, I know you can rise again. And sometimes that one voice is enough to keep you moving forward. There is a famous Japanese practice called kintsugi, the art of repairing broken pottery with gold. Instead of throwing away the broken pieces, they fill the cracks with gold, making the repaired bowl even more beautiful than before. Self-compassionate self-talk works the same way. When you make mistakes, when you experience failure, instead of saying, I am useless, I am broken, I am not worthy, you say, I am learning, I am healing, I am becoming stronger. And those cracks of your life become filled with the gold of self-kindness. They don't make you uglier. They make you more beautiful, more resilient, more inspiring. Some people fear that if they are kind to themselves, they will become lazy. They think, if I stop being hard on myself, I will stop growing. I need to criticize myself to stay disciplined. But that is not true. Science shows that self-compassion actually fuels growth more effectively than harsh self-criticism. When you attack yourself, your brain triggers stress hormones like cortisol, which reduce your creativity, block your learning, and make you feel paralyzed. But when you use compassionate self-talk, your brain feels safe, encouraged, and motivated, releasing hormones like oxytocin and dopamine that help you bounce back faster. Harshness breaks you. Kindness builds you. Think of a child learning to walk. When they fall, would you shout at them, "You stupid child! You'll never get it right"? Of course not. You clap, you cheer, you smile, and you say, "It's okay, try again. You're doing so well." And with that encouragement, the child takes another step, and then another, until one day they walk with confidence. Now ask yourself this: why don't you speak to your own inner child the same way? Every time you stumble, why don't you say, "It's okay, I'm learning, I can try again. I am proud that I'm still moving forward"? Imagine how much lighter your journey would feel if your self-talk sounded more like that. I once heard the story of a young musician who made a mistake during a live performance. Instead of continuing, he froze, filled with shame, thinking, "I'm not talented enough. Everyone is laughing at me. I should quit." But after the show, his teacher told him, "Mistakes are not proof of weakness. They are proof that you are trying." Every great musician has made thousands of mistakes. The only difference is they forgave themselves and kept going. That teacher's words became the boy's new self-talk. I am learning through every mistake. I am becoming better. And in time, he did become one of the most skilled performers in his group. What changed his destiny? Not just practice, not just talent, but the self-talk he carried inside. Self-compassionate self-talk also changes how you recover from failure. Imagine two people facing the same setback. One says to themselves, "I'm worthless, I'll never get it right, I should just give up." The other says, "Yes, I failed, but failure is part of growth. I can try again, I can learn, I can improve. Who do you think will rise again? Who do you think will eventually succeed? Not the one who destroys themselves from the inside, but the one who builds themselves up, even in the face of defeat. So, my friends, remember this. You don't have to wait for the world to be kind to you before you choose to be kind to yourself. Start with your own self-talk. Begin replacing the words of harshness with words of encouragement. The next time you make a mistake, instead of saying, "I'm such a failure," try saying, "I'm proud I had the courage to try. I will do better next time." The next time you feel weak, don't say, "I'm useless," but say, "I'm human and it's okay to be imperfect. I'm growing." These words may feel simple, but they carry the power to heal your heart, to strengthen your spirit, and to keep you moving when life feels heavy. Because in the end, self-talk is not just about what you say, it's about who you become. And when you choose self-compassion, you don't just become stronger, you become unstoppable.